Watchers, welcome back to the club. We're your hosts. I'm Ebony Chapman.
And I'm Akila Friend.
And today we are joined by the founder and CEO of a luxury brand watch company who believes that time should be spent doing what you love. Please let's welcome Marcel Benson of Benson Watch Company.
Hey, Marcel, we're so happy to have
you. What's up? Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys. Or gals.
Yeah. Girls, guys, whatever it is. You already know what it is. So Benson Watch Company, it's a luxury watch brand. The motto is time should be spent doing what you love. Let's talk about that. Like, what does time really, really mean to you?
Time is everything. Time is, the one thing that that connects all of us, but it's also the one thing that we can never get back. We can't control it. We can only manage what we do within that, that given time. And, that slogan, came to me when I was working in corporate. I felt I was giving 10, 12 hours to a job that I didn't really love. And, I had to get out of there. I had to quit. But I needed something to remind me, that leaving was not like in vain. So I came up with that slogan, and that will ultimately, be the thing that we use to promote the brand and leverage the company.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that, because I think it's interesting. So you left your corporate job prior to starting Benson Watch, or you were doing the whole side hustle movement, doing that while working, and then officially
right.
plunge.
Yeah, so the company was already in existence, but it was a side hustle for sure. Like there was definitely not a lot of revenue coming in. It was, I was still selling pieces like hand to hand, really just trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it. It was leaving the job that really made me take the company a lot more seriously.
Yeah. Why watches to begin with? I mean, we are in 21st century and folks are like, oh, I just have my phone. It doesn't matter. Why did you decide to say watches was something that you wanted to venture into?
Well, you got to think about it like this, right? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure you ladies are fans of hip hop, and entertainment. There's over 20,000 mentions of wristwatches just in the past 2 years and songs that came out. This is a study that I did, right? Over 20,000 mentions. So this is a very relevant accessory, right? This is something that has stood the test of time. Of course, nobody uses a watch to tell time. It says something about you, the person wearing it. It says something about your personality, your taste level. I make watches and I don't even look at the time on my wrist. Like half the time it's probably off, right? So it's more of an accessory, not so much functionality that people are drawn to. So me, I got my first watch when I was like 7 years old. And then, I collected about 100 of them from the age of 7 to 25 because I was just like fascinated with them. So that's kind of where like my love for watches came from. It was a gift from my parents at that age. And that kind of like started the whole, I guess, allure or attraction to the watches.
Yeah, and I get that whole like accessory piece. I mean, I'm wearing my Benson now. I'm going to show it off to the cam.
Ooh, there we go.
I'm wearing a purple top, and then the face to my watch is purple as well. So I get that whole coordination situation. And I picked purple because I like the whole like pop of color vibe of it. And, you, Marcel, have a lot of pops of color. I know there's like a green one. There was a light blue with like a silver. There's also a light pink one as well. And I know you're coming out with a whole lot of other colors, but to back it up a little bit, let's go back to the beginning of time with your business. So I think its first inception, it's been like 4 years now. Within that first year of business, kind of trying to figure it out, like, were you kind of like just throwing noodles on the wall and hoping something would stick? Like, what were kind of those like initial ideas that maybe you started and then were like, this ain't working, I got to try something else, and you had to pivot?
I was the noodle man. Like I was throwing all types of noodles at the wall. I think that's a certain excitement that you get as a first year entrepreneur. Like you're trying to figure things out. You're testing different things. And this is exactly what you should be doing, right? The only way to really get real data is to actually put, theorized plans into action. And that's how you kind of come to the conclusion of what works and what doesn't work. So I was definitely just kind of like any idea that came to me, I was trying to, implement it at a low cost. Like if it's something that's like super expensive and you're starting out and it's not necessarily directly connected to revenue, it may not make sense. But as far as like lead generation, awareness, getting people to know about the brand, I was putting everything together. I was trying everything. Walking. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say like what? Yeah, give me examples.
I was gonna say like walking up to random people and telling them about the brand. Doing pop-ups. Doing live presentations on social media. Walking into random stores and telling my story. Like one of the first retailers I got in was like, this is before MGM. Was a store out in Baltimore. It was a small, crazy. I can't even remember the name, but it was a small boutique. And I remember the guy gave me a shot strictly off the fact that I walked in and I told him the story. So that helped out a lot. It didn't really lead to much. I think we made like maybe 2 or 3 sales, but it was that kind of set in motion that, okay, you can leverage your story. You can leverage your voice to get into doors.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the courage too, to just be like, you know what, I think I have a winning product here. Somebody's got to hear it.
Kind of what was that light bulb moment for you though? Like you have the watches. There are a lot of other watch companies. I mean, you're more working in that like a reasonable price range. You're not, Rolex.
What is the price range? Yeah, just for folks to know.
Tell what is the price?
Yeah, we're between 189 and 350. So, it's like we've kind of created this like quasi luxury segment of watches with high-end aesthetics but comfortable price points.
Yeah. So what was that light bulb moment for you when you were like, like people like this? Oh my gosh, like people want this. Like I can continue to sell my watch to people. And it's not just, my friends and family. It's like, we're getting, orders from outside the state. We're getting orders from over here and over there. Right. And now I feel like I can really leverage it because now I have the numbers and the sales behind my product.
Yeah. The light bulb moment was, I did a Kickstarter campaign, and this was a way to earn, or not to earn, but to raise the initial capital to fund the first batch of watches. I needed about $10,000 to get started. So I did a Kickstarter campaign. Anybody that doesn't know what a Kickstarter campaign, it's a crowdfunding platform that allows you to leverage a project or a product in exchange for donations. So, you're not necessarily selling your product, but you're asking for donations to fund the product. And as a result, you have rewards like, it could be the product that you're selling or some other product. In my case, I gave away, watches for people that donated at a certain level. And what that allowed me to do was to get the inventory. And it only took about 80 people to get to that 10,000. But that 10,000 got me about 500 pieces. So I had a little over 400 pieces left that I could actually sell for a profit. But I used that as a way to prove to myself that this was going to be, it was all or nothing. Because like on Kickstarter, if you don't raise the full amount, then you don't get the money at all. So I was like, if I can raise $10,000, that means that there's close to 100 people that care about what I'm doing. So this means that, maybe there's 1,000 people or 10,000 people that may care about it. I just have to figure out how to get to them. But this was the first step to proving to myself that there were people, that it was a viable product, essentially.
Yeah. Don't you feel like sometimes with entrepreneurship that it's kind of like this, I don't want to call it a guessing game, but low-key. Like it's low-key kind of like, like it kind of works. And then you're like, let me just scale it up a little more and see if that works scale it up a little more. And it's like, you never know.
Literally have to go for it. That's, I think, the through line with anything, no matter the company, no matter the business, no matter if you're an entrepreneur, you're going for it. And I think it's cool too. Like you mentioned crowdfunding and crowdsourcing, because I think it's one thing, you have the product, this is a product you like, you're selling the product, but to get the community and to get people on board to not only just buy your watch period, but to also invest in your business. I think that's something that it seems to be like you're doing well. So the Kickstarter was one thing, you're crowdsourcing now. Explain the process. So one, you put the, you write the pitch, you do something, and you put it out there on the platform. But how do you get people to, one, notice it, and also to get dollars in that account so that you can do what you wanted to do with that money?
Absolutely. So really quickly, I'll just kind of like just for the people that's listening, I'll kind of like decipher the two. Mm-hmm. The Kickstarter was crowdfunding, but it was just regular crowdfunding. What I'm currently doing is equity crowdfunding. So the regular crowdfunding is donation. Equity crowdfunding is investment. So, anyone who's participating in the crowdfunding platform for Benson on Republic is an investor, and they're buying shares of the company, right? So I think the first thing to consider when you're raising money is not the product, not the business, but just your reputation, your network. It pays dividends to just be a good person, right? Like to treat people with respect, to have a reputation of delivering on your word. When, I consider those things tiers of being a good person. A respectable person who honors their word. When you do those things, right, it creates trust. So, we all have friends, we all have family, and if they know, like, and trust us, then they'll more than likely, put some money behind, whatever it is that we're trying to do. They want to see us win. So I always tell people, I think that everybody has about, at least $20,000 to $50,000 in their immediate network. And this is not somebody that's like, oh, that person's well connected. I mean, like, the average person, I think, has about 25,000 to 50,000 in their immediate network. It's just a matter of like getting to it. So you just think about, you just kind of like break the numbers down. Like, what does it take to, to get, $25,000, right? 25 people, giving 1,000, 50 people giving 500, and you can continue to do the math that way. The way that you get to those people is by, what I did was I started with the friends that I thought were doing the best in life, right? I reached out to them, provided them the opportunity, and then asked them to, to bring me about 2 or 3 people. And then after doing that a few times, like, that 25,000 was raised relatively quickly before I even reached out to, heavy hitters or millionaires or active investors. This is just friends from a quick text message. And I think that everybody has that access. Like I said, if you honor that previous thing that I mentioned about just being a good person and people knowing that their money's not just going to nothing, right? So that's a start, right? That gives you the momentum. And then there's other things you can start doing, right? Like, this is, $25,000, $50,000 just from you deciding that you're going to do something. Now you start to educate people about what you're doing. You shoot videos, you explain to people like what this means. You start getting people to become a part of a community, right? This pandemic opened so many people's eyes to, what it means to be on the right side of like economics, to have your dollars positioned with the right businesses, because we're learning that like power lies in, like our dollars, our economics. So it's like the perfect time to start rallying people, together for a mission, that kind of centers around like empowering our communities. And that's pretty much what we're doing. Like, right now we're sitting at about $250,000. We have about 120 days left in the campaign. The goal is 1,070,000. And this has been completely organic. We haven't even started implementing our our advertisements and promotional strategies. This literally just came from people wanting to be a part of a community that's going to propel the first Black-owned watch company to reach a global scale. So I think just having something that's meaningful to people and then rallying them together is like the greatest way to raise funds.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, girl, we need to start tapping into our 20K network.
Yes.
I'm telling you, test the theory, the theory, and you'll prove me right. But like I said, within 30 days, I think that each of us has access to 20 to 50,000. Obviously, there are some cases, of people who are far removed from that, but I would say the average person could reach out to someone that could open the door to get them that amount of funding if they really think about it and really dig into their contacts and interactions that they've had over the years.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have our GoFundMe link, so go ahead and figure that out, sir.
Shameless plug, but I like it.
One, okay.
But I like it.
Okay. Yeah, we gonna talk about that. You have had, like, your past job, it wasn't just like a regular 9 to 5, it was in consulting. You have business background, business know-how, and that's kind of even what you got your major in. And so within this financial game, we're always talking about like multiple streams of income, like we need to have, do you think that multiple streams of income is important? And if it is, how does someone financially reach that stage where they're able to acquire multiple streams of income, and like how important is investing?
Great question. I absolutely believe that you should have multiple streams of income, and I'll tell you why. Like, having one stream of income is close to having 0 streams of income, right? If you get, say your job is your primary source of income and you get fired, you have 0 streams of income. Right?
She's laughing because you, sorry, I just have to explain that because I feel like the folks watching, you said having one stream of income is close to having none. And I have none. I have 0. I completely agree, because at the end of the day, and I think it's just a difference in terms of dependency too. Like, you're depending on one person and one company and one source for your entire livelihood that you kind of get more and more used to. And I think it's remarkable. Not only the idea of multiple streams of income is that you're creating one stream on your own from Benson Watch. So yeah, anyways, continue with explaining it. For the
no, you definitely want to have multiple, because it just kind of like provides a cushion. And it's really the only way to build true wealth. Like, it has to, like, we all have 24 hours, right? But there's no way that you can build wealth by exchanging that time for dollars. Like, it's a recipe for failure. You can work hard in any job and retire and have an okay amount of money saved up in an IRA or a 401k. But to build wealth, to become a millionaire, to be able to flow through life the way that you want to, I think that not depending on just that job is the best move. I don't believe that you should go and try to start 6 things at one time, right? I think that if you can become known for one thing, like you can get good at one thing and become known for that one thing, it makes creating the other streams a lot easier, right? So I'm never one to knock a job. I'm not a person, even though I quit my job, and I do tell people they should spend their time doing what they love, that doesn't necessarily mean go quit your job. That job is an income, and it could be the thing that you're the best at that gets you to the point where you can go and create other incomes, like investing in real estate, stock market, cryptocurrency. It may be that startup capital for you to start that e-commerce store. It just provides you the cushion and comfortability to create something else. So I definitely think that it's good to have that, but the goal should be to grow your your income streams gradually, right? Like, if they say like work for 30 years and retire. Imagine how many, if you do want to go that route, imagine how many income streams you could produce if you were just creating a new one every couple of years. You know what I mean? So it's really just in the approach. But when I say the approach, it's really the mindset, right? It's just like always trying to, I guess, like soften your the blow of getting fired, or like the the liability of just like depending on one thing. You always want to be thinking like growth and like expansion. So some people say 6, some people say 8. I say as many as as many as you can, as many that make sense within the realm of what you're doing and like the capacity that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I heard 7, but I'm down for whatever. I need whatever kind of lifestyle I envision in my mind, however many streams of income I need to acquire that's what I want.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Also, I do want to make sure that folks know too the journey of Benson Watch. Like you mentioned, again, you had your corporate job, you started it while in corporate, but then officially took it full time. You started crowdfunding, but when did you truly start seeing a profit? I don't know if it was from day one, from quitting your job or not, but like explain the timeline from going from ideation to sourcing to profit to now stability and expansion.
It was really just like true profit was really just like last year. Before, I mean, like we were making money before, and I've had several streams of income for a long time. So, making a ton of money in the watch company was never something that was like, it wasn't something that I was gung ho about, right? I really wanted to just build the business and the brand. But yeah, it wasn't until last year that profitability really kicked in, because, you're spending money all over the place. Throwing money in marketing, throwing money in building a brand. And, sometimes it takes a lot to get to profitability, especially with the model in which, my company rests in with, or I should say the life cycle of the supply chain. It can take like 4 to 5 months. So like managing that cash flow, I won't go into, extreme details, but managing that cash flow can be very difficult when there's such a gap in, like reproduction for the products. So it took a while to understand that. It took a while to grasp that. It took a while to know that, oh yeah, you gotta have a couple $100,000 like in reserves. You gotta have like, you need to be able to pay your bills for a year. You know what I mean? You need to be able to, to replenish your inventory. Just you got to be able to pay to build out a new SKU or a new product, and then market that product, and then replenish that product, and consistently. So just learning those things, it took a while to get to the point where it's like, all right, we're really making money now, but we have arrived, right? So yeah, I think that answers the question. I'm not sure if it was second part to that. Yeah.
No, it does. No, it does answer the question. Yeah. And I think what I was hearing was that there was kind of like some separation with building the business and then like becoming profitable, meaning that because you did have your extra streams of income, I know you were doing consulting for other businesses, and you have investments in cryptocurrency and all of those things that were kind of helping sustain you a little bit while you were putting money, like you were making money from the watches, but then reinvesting it back into the company to grow it more.
Exactly.
And so it sounds like there has to be some type of independency of your income to be able to grow a business, because you can't rely on something where you're trying to build it, if that makes sense. Yes. Right? Am I making sense? And so with that, I just am kind of like, I think that's the place where it kind of gets a little scary for people when it comes to starting a business, because you're like, oh my gosh, like all the money I have to have. And even though like you raised the money, you spent it already. And then you're like trying to make the money and put it back into the company, but you're maybe still in debt. Like, so I think those are the types of things that kind of like to deter people from wanting to step out in that entrepreneurship lane. Is there any tips, tricks, ideas, or anything that you can kind of speak on when it comes to that?
Yeah. So there was a me like 4 years ago where I would be like, oh man, everybody can be an entrepreneur. You can be an entrepreneur. Everybody can do it, right? That's the furthest thing from the truth. And what I've arrived at now is that it's not for everyone. Like it just is not for everyone, because there are so many variables that kind of come into play, for different industries. So I think like just like self-education, and then also education through action, and also understanding that there will be some severe curveballs thrown your way that you may not have been able to anticipate. And you need to ask yourself, like, first of all, do I have enough income to sustain me for this? Am I willing to, to weather the storm of it not being the best, like in a certain season? Do I have the stamina? Is this something I even care about? Will this have an impact on people that's worth what I have to go through to do it? So it's like I said, I used to like to give this this sugar coated answer to inspire people and make people feel good. But I think transparency and honesty is the best policy as it pertains to this, because there are a ton of people that start businesses and then they shut down a year later, 2 years later. So I think just like going into it, knowing that I'm not going to say the whole thing is hard, but there will be hard times. There will be very difficult times. And, you have to be committed to, to the goal and like just trust the process. So if you have difficulty, taking risk, if you have difficulty living in a space that some would say we'll call darkness or the unknown, if you can't rest comfortably in that space of not always knowing, 9 times out of 10, entrepreneurship may not be the right route for you.
I mean, great advice. That's what you gotta tell people, because it's true. But with that said, what keeps you going? Like, what keeps you saying, like, you know what? Yes, entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but it's for
yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, like, me and you have talked. Obviously, I know there's been failures. There's been money lost. There's been a lot of shit. So it's kind of like
say it all. Yeah, it's true though. It's true.
So exactly what you said. It's like, what keeps you going?
I think like what keeps me going is the mission. Like always reverting back to like why I started it, and then bringing it to today. Right? Like I kept going. There was times where I could have quit. If I quit, I wouldn't have been where I am now, actually living out what I was trying to do, right? So I think that keeping in mind like that mission, which is like inspiring the masses to spend their time doing what they love, it's not a cliche. It's really a lifestyle. Like, I just Thursday I was like, in the valley getting a massage. The other day, like I decided to take the day off and just kind of like, do a little bit of shopping and running around. And it's just like, it's little things like that. And this is not a flex or brag, but it's like the ability to kind of like, move freely and do things that make you happy. They kind of like aid in your and just your vibe and your aura. Like you're able to show up in the world better when you're, not bogged down by responsibility that doesn't use half of the gifts that God has given you, right? You open up to more things when you're living a life of like intentionality instead of like reactivity. You know what I mean? Yeah. Typically, like when your day is like just kind of like done for you, like this, like you got to do all these things. You often put yourself on the back burner. You know what I mean? Like you become the second priority. Right.
We're triggered. Like, we're triggered. We are triggered.
Yeah. But no need to be triggered because you're on the way, right? It may not be like tomorrow or next week or next month, but if the intention is to live a life where you're always the first priority, you just gotta keep on working, keep figuring things out, keep doing what you're doing right now. Like I already see the elevation in this, and ultimately there'll be, you'll get to a point where, like working the 9 to 5 is a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think that like that's something that we talk about often. Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to work, like what we do is like we bulk record, right? To like help us plan for the month or whatever the heck. And so to give us some time. And so we've been doing this all day today. We've been, we record multiple in one day. And so I was sitting on the floor eating my food and I was like, yo, like if this is what we did all day for like a living, I would be fine with it. Great. Like to do it and not because us now knowing that we have to now go to work tomorrow, like, we spent all day, we're exhausted. which is fine because this is the life we chose. But it's like now we also have to like go and show up for work. And my poor baby over here, she is literally, she works like 6 days a week. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I have this project coming up. I have to do this, that, and the third. True. Or, you know, it's like, and sometimes it's hard to balance it all. And it becomes, you know, which is why I'm so happy we have a partnership, because it's like, she can step in, I can step in when there's, you know, holes that need to be filled. And so it does help. I know. And you're really doing it one-man band. So let's talk about that a little bit. One-man band.
Well, I have a team, but
but beforehand,
I'm a solo owner. Yeah, it was one-man band for the longest. And like, see, when you're in these stages, right? Like we always, and I'm guilty of this sometimes too. We always see like the end result of like what we want to have, but sometimes we forget like what the process, like the type of person the process turns us into, right? Like me going through that one-man band stage for years, I was able to learn my business inside out and able to teach, you know, the team the proper way to go about it. I get like, I would say if there was a poll taken, I guarantee we have the best customer service out of any watch company, right? Just from the reviews that we get and the emails. Like if we told people, look, show me your ratings and reviews, like there's nothing that would compare to the 3 paragraphs that we get from customers sometimes, because the you know, the customer service is so specific and so you know, intentional, right? So if I didn't go through, you know, that you know, the stage of like not, you know, having to kind of do everything on my own, like there's certain things that I possibly would have like neglected. Like there is a such thing as like coming up on money too soon or getting money too soon before really understanding like the fundamentals of your business and what it takes to grow. Because if you get money and you don't know your business, like that money's going right out the door. You know, you're going to spend it on things that you may not even need to spend it on because you don't really understand like how things work. So I think just kind of like going through that rigorous process, it was uncomfortable. I didn't really like, you know, like it the whole time. But in hindsight and retrospect, I realized like, wow, this was what I needed to help me, you know, like make these things a priority or give this lesson to this person or teach this person this in the business, and, you know, ultimately be able to create a team that works for what I'm ultimately trying to build.
I love that. So, I mean, first of all, that's great. And I think that's great advice too for anyone. Like, don't get bogged down in the fact that right now it's 2 of us, but, you know, full-time at least, and founders and all that. But that's see the blessing in that, and the fact that you're able to really know the business inside and out. Like, what made you finally decide to expand your team, and who did you hire first, second? I'm curious as to what did you find most important to outsource, or at least have somebody else fill the gaps in first?
The very first hire was marketing, because I realized like, okay, there's, especially with changes and social media algorithms, they damn near force you to pay money, right? Like, you know, you can get some organic reach, but to really start to scale your business, you gotta start putting money behind it. So I needed someone who could, you know, who was skilled and, you know, and Facebook and Instagram ads, social media ads, to start getting the business to bring in more revenue from the digital space, you know, generating new leads. Like we had a lot of repeat customers that I had built organically like over the years, but it's like, it's only so long that, you know, you can keep that customer retention without expanding your products, and, you know, or bringing in new customers. So, like, yeah, that was definitely like a very like important, important hire. The next was actually like it was a perfect storm. I won't mention, you know, their names, but two family members of mine were my next hires, and they had actually, been laid off during the pandemic, and it worked out perfectly. Not that they got laid off, but that, you know, that I was finally in a position because I had made the decision to hire the marketing and to get the revenues up. And I had done all the things that I needed to do for those earlier years. And, I was able to, provide both of them, with jobs. So that's my team is currently made up of 4 people. And, that's how we put that together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we continue to talk about growing a business or scaling a business, so we're starting, we did the year one, we're throwing everything on the wall, we figured it out. We are finally creating a little revenue. And like obviously people like, this is my friend. So it's like, I do know a lot about his business because we have just had a lot of conversations over the years. But I know that you did this program like an incubator to help grow and scale. And I think it was like to help raise money, but like, I'm going to let you speak to it as an option for people who are in this like product-based business line to have options. Like, okay, we have the crowdfunding, the donations, and the incubator thing. So I would love for you to talk about that.
Yeah. So incubators are definitely a great way to, to get the knowledge that you need, and not only the knowledge, but the networking across, I always say, is like super important. Like we're always trying to like reach for the stars with getting people that may be slightly above us or something like that, and trying to get them to come down and help us instead of like meeting people who are like growing at the same rate, like, entry level entrepreneurs. So even though they may not have the resources that you need, they do kind of create a network so that you're not going through this like, entirely alone. And then they can also like challenge some of your ideas and vice versa. So I'll give the three that I participated in. I participated in the Macy's workshop incubator. This is really great for product-based businesses that are looking to get their products in, and retailers, big box retailers like Nordstrom, Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Neiman Marcus. This incubator, like, just kind of like, went through like the contracts, the legal side of working with these, these big brands, the benefits of working with them, some of the downfalls, that kind of like pertains to the size of your business, and just like how to work out a good deal, with the organization to suit, your current structure or company structure. I was also a part of it's called Developing High Performing Minority Owned Businesses. And this is a incubator that's done at Dartmouth, up in Hanover, New Hampshire. So it's on the Dartmouth campus. It's taught, by the Ivy League, business professors at the Tuck School of Business. And it really just kind of like provides you with, again, that network, and then, like real business knowledge, real, practical things that you need to start thinking about beyond just brand awareness, but like, how do I structure my accounting, like tax planning? How do I determine, like how many employees I need, for each level of revenue that I achieve? How do I get qualified for, for institutional capital, which is like loans and things like that. So, a lot of the boring stuff in business that's very necessary, to keep, a sustainable company. Then there was the most recent one I was in was the NASDAQ Mastermind, which is put on annually. It's a group of about 10 business owners. You can go to the website and apply. I think the application is open now. And that, that's a great opportunity to, to learn more about branding, take a deeper dive into, like raising capital, getting your pitch prepared so that you can go out and get, venture capital, angel capital, or even crowdfunding like I'm currently doing. So yeah, those are the three I would recommend. I think even if it's not those three, always take time. And this is something that I did before. Take time to just like reach out to your network, right? I recommend people have like a list of people that they keep up to speed, right? People that you've met, through networking, people that you would say is a little higher up than you, and just kind of keeping them up to date and speed on like what you're working on, so that they can see like over time, like, oh, this person is still at it, and they'll think to make a connection. They may or may not, but this is how you like kind of expand your horizons and get access to different people, because you may be doing something in your business at one moment that may not pertain to anybody that somebody that you knows, but you may, in 2 months be working on something that is of interest to somebody that they know. So by having like a monthly, like letter that you send out to people just to kind of keep them abreast is like a great thing to do. I would also recommend just like taking time to see like what educational opportunities are out there, free and that actually cost. And if money is, is not, in abundance at the time, right? You can look for programs that provide some sort of like scholarships. But I would take just an hour a week, maybe 30 minutes to an hour a week, just to do a quick Google search on like what incubators are out there, what, like for entry level entrepreneurs or whatever level you're at. Like just always be trying to find some sort of like opportunity to connect with like a pool of, like entrepreneurs. Also, yeah, I was gonna say also like, also what these incubators do is they give you FaceTime with like very important people, right? Like when I went to the Dartmouth incubator, it's actually what led to me getting into the Macy's one, because I met somebody there who was like the president of like the National Minority Business like certification board, right? So he made a quick introduction to somebody who made a quick introduction to somebody, and then that led to me getting into that program. So a lot of times, like these programs, like these people are putting on these programs as a way of like, giving back and ushering in the next generation of entrepreneurs. So, you show them your hunger, you show up as yourself. They're ultimately going to want to help you. So, even coming to these incubators with like an idea of who's running it, and then, talking to them, sitting down with them, building a relationship with them, and, and always telling your story, always letting people know what it is that you're doing.
That right there is complete gems and advice for anyone. I think there's a lot of things I'm going to take away from that too. I think
right. And you did multiple ones.
And you did multiple.
That right there, because you hear the programs and you might apply one time or do something like, an internship, but it's like, you need to continue to do that because it does help build your network, like you were saying. And
you can never learn enough too. And I think it's interesting, especially at this point in time where a lot of folks, on the cusp of 2020 and everything that was happening, even socially, within the Black community, especially, there's a lot of programs that folks just decided to start because they saw there needed to be change. And now it's up to us to take advantage of those opportunities to make what your dream a reality. So I think that's dope that you're doing that. I do want to also touch on the fact, like, obviously there's opportunities on one end, getting the learnings, getting in front of people, networking, but also continuing that on when it comes to partnerships. You've partnered with a lot of big brand names. We'll say Macy's, you mentioned, QVC, HSN. We saw your social post. Your product is going to be on the Price is Right, or featured on the Price is Right. Talk about how some of those opportunities and some of those partnerships came about, and what were the effects?
So, things, when you have one win, it leads to multiple wins, right? So I guess, like, simply put, is like the goal should just be to keep getting wins, right? I was fortunate enough to be featured in a New York Times article, which, it made waves across the industry, and it put a lot of eyeballs on the brand. And that, getting into that, that article is what led to, being able to get so many television appearances, because a lot of these networks and bigger companies, like, this is like what they're reading. This is what the execs are reading. This is what the producers are reading. So if you think about that on a larger scale, like, you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself to get into something that will lead to, to more of those. So New York Times, I knew like intuitively, a few years ago that, like, it was so many things that were just happening in our climate. I'm not going to act like I'm a psychic and I predicted the pandemic, right? But I knew that it was important to, like, not run away from the fact that our company was Black owned, right? When I first started, I was just like, man, like, there ain't no way that, like, somebody gonna buy, like, pieces from a Black owned company, especially like a white person. And there's more white people in the country than there's Black people. How will I ever scale? Like, how will I ever grow? Like, I need to be, like, anonymous under the radar. But, I learned that just from observation that people were buying more into brands that were like authentic in themselves, and like the founder was like facing the camera and stuff like that, no matter what, to feel something. They just wanted authenticity. So I'm, positioning myself as this, Black owned watch brand, or the first Black owned watch brand to do, such and such. And it led to me getting, like smaller opportunities that kind of snowballed into me, getting into New York Times. And a lot of these opportunities were, centered around me, like being Black. People, with all the like things that were happening with like high-end, designer brands, like making racial, comments and slurs. I was just like, all right, well, if I just show up as myself, like these people that are looking for some sort of alternative will, eventually like land on my brand. I'm just going to like see what it does. And it was when I decided to start showing up, authentically, that all these opportunities just started to, to kind of just flow in. I can't even say, like, I don't have a PR team, right? I've been Rolling Out Magazine, New York Times, Black Enterprise, Essence, Nylon Magazine, Town and Country Magazine, so many, like, and typically they're, centered around like me being like a first in this space, right? Like an industry that's dominated, by white men, European men. Here's this young Black guy that's coming in and trying to shake things up a little bit. So I think the secret sauce is just like owning your story, whatever it is, and just doing that to the max, getting wins. Just find one magazine that you can get into, find one publication that you can get into, and then that typically leads to to other opportunities.
Marcel, this was so informative. Guys, we really work hard to do this show, obviously, and we always bring the fire guests with all the information and really are at the top of their craft. So the best way that you can support us is to share this show with a friend and subscribe to our YouTube page, or listen to us on Apple or Spotify podcasts. Everything is at the Black Creators Club. When you do, leave a comment, like, subscribe, do all the things to make sure that us as a business, as a brand, as a company that's here to really tell your stories authentically and share this wealth of information with you, are able to grow and sustain ourselves. So if you also have any suggestions for guests that you think would be awesome to be on the show, I mean, our DMs, our inboxes are open, honey. Contact us at
Slide in the DMs. Slide in the DMs.
It's open. The company is open. Okay, my personal is closed. So contact us at theblackcreatorsclub@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening. But before we wrap, we want to make sure that we play a game with the future of the watch industry.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So exciting. We're going to do a little quiz. How much do you know about the industry that you are in? Okay. So we did a little research on some questions of the watches in the industry, and we're gonna see what you know. Okay.
Oh man, let's see.
Okay. Okay. Where is the biggest watch manufacturer in the world?
Biggest watch manufacturer in the world is in Switzerland, and it's I believe it's the Swatch Watch Group.
Ding, ding, ding. That's right.
Watch this. You got one. Okay, so where was Rolex founded originally?
Rolex was originally founded in Switzerland, but the founders are actually not Swiss. They're like British, I believe. But they moved to Switzerland. I think it was in like 1950s to start Rolex.
Nice. And I mean, I think that's a great tidbit, because I think Google or whatever, just like London, England, just basing it off the founders, but the fact that they actually went to Switzerland to do that, that's awesome.
Right. Yep.
What is the most popular watch company in the world? There's two different answers.
The most popular watch company, I'd say most popular.
Popular.
I'd say Rolex.
Rolex.
Oh,
that's not what Google said.
You were talking about all the the rap lyrics up front, like,
right. That's what I thought you were gonna be like. They were always talking about the Patek
Audemars,
and the baguette.
Well, I mean, the Patek Philippe is definitely older than some of the other. I mean, I know there's the Richard Mille, there's the Patek Philippe, there's Rolex. I know that Rolex spends the most money in marketing, which is why it was like my first instinct to say that they were the most popular. But if you're talking about like pop culture, it would have to be like Patek and Richard Mille, Richard Mille on the high end side. Yeah. What did you guys come up with? What did Google say?
Patek Philippe, definitely, and the Audemars.
Yeah.
Audemars watches too.
The Audemars Piguet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You hear a lot of that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What brand is still owned by its original founding families and is one of the oldest watch manufacturers in the world?
That's Patek Philippe.
We already gave you this. I mean, Google said, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that Patek is if it's not the oldest, I know it's still owned and operated by its family, by its original family. It's if there's another, I mean, there's a ton of like Swiss brands that are operated by family, but they're not like super popular. I mean, Rolex is also, like I said, run by the Heinz Wilsdorf Foundation, which is like run by the family. So I don't know if that's one of them, but
this
what's
one is
Google talking about?
Piguet as well. I think it's Piguet or Piguet. Who knows? But I know.
Yeah.
Either way, I don't have it.
It's saying Audemars Piguet.
Yep.
Okay. That's interesting.
I think it's because it's also one of the oldest. It says one of the oldest as well. So still owned and one of the oldest. Probably Patek, came a little later on. All right. When did it say
Audemars was founded?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
Because Patek, I'm saying Patek was founded in the 1800s. I don't know if Audemars goes by that far.
All right. Well, we about to pull up the Googler right now. We're Googling it.
Yeah.
Because now
Patek was.
Let's see. 1875.
1875. Well, that's for Patek.
Yeah, but that's interesting because that's Audemars, but that's interesting because Patek is saying 1839. So I think Google was wrong.
Yeah. So Patek is. I know for a fact that Patek is family owned and very old. I thought it was older than Audemars. Are you saying it's a little older than Audemars?
Yes. That's awesome. And Rolex was founded in 1905 if folks are interested. So
okay, well there you go. Okay. Google was wrong. Marcel Benson was correct. He clearly knows his industry.
Knows his business.
He clearly knows. Okay, so very last question. What's the world's best Black-owned watch business?
There's what's that guy's name? He's like this real cool, handsome young fella. Benson by Marcel. Yeah, Benson Watch. Yeah.
No, actually, that's not correct. I'm just kidding. Yes.
We were hoping that you were going to say that. I was nervous. I was like, the favorite is the Benson Watch Company. We also know that Google was clearly wrong about the other question. So we're glad that you were here to correct us and Google. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Marcel, for this amazing interview. We had a great time today.
Likewise.
Let the people know where they can find you or buy your watches or find you on Instagram. Like, what's up?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram at Benson Watch. You can purchase a watch at bensonwatch.com. And if you want to grow with us and become a part of an amazing community, you can invest at republic.co/Benson Watch. and that will that will open up the platform. You'll get to read about what we're doing, what we plan to do in the future, what we've done, and you can choose the level of investment that you want to come in at.
Perfect. Akilah, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me chatting business, pop culture, and lifestyle, all at Akilah Friend.
And you can, where, on what platform?
Oh, Instagram, girl. That's like my standard. So I'm like, that's all I'm at, Instagram.
You can find me chatting everything Black-owned businesses and, of course, the Black Creators Club at Evan A. Chapman 12 on Instagram. We've had the best time. We've learned so much about funding, how to grow your business, how to get capital, how to, really about like raising money for your business. Yes. And remember to always spend time doing what you love. We thank you guys so much for watching and participating here on the episode. You guys were also doing a giveaway here as well for the Benson watches. So please look at our Instagram and his Instagram to get all the details about that. But you guys might be taking home your very own Benson watch. Okay. Yes. Show it off. Yes. Or the look, and he also has the Omega bracelet. Like I'm also wearing that. I got the whole set. Together.
Better represent.
Okay. Yes. Listen, friends gotta support friends. But you guys, thank you again. And remember to always abide by your ABCs. Always be creating. See you later. Bye.